Well, no bloopers for this one. Heyo everybody, welcome back to another episode of Gambit. New name still to be determined. I don't know what I'm going to call it. I have some names, ideas, but nothing really special as of right now. So this video I'm focusing entirely on the sliding transfer track. And I promise there's no supports being built in this episode. The only thing I would be altering are a few of the cross beams on the sliding transfer track itself, but I promise you no supports in this video. You guys have had enough of that already, so it's finally time for a change. So this, what I'm doing is I'm building, first I'm starting off with the actual storage tracks that the trains rest on overnight. Now GCIs, typically if you have a 2-train GCI, they leave one on the main running track at night and the other on the storage track. So there would only be one storage track. In this case I have 3 trains, so I'm going to have 2 storage tracks, if that makes any kind of sense. See, GCIs run on steel wheels, so they won't get flat like polyurethane or nylon wheels would on a B&M or like an Aero or something. So the steel won't get flat spots, so it's okay to have it sitting on the main running track overnight. And even I think the side track here, the wheels, the train still sits on the physical metal there, so it doesn't hurt the train at all. If you have any particular questions about GCI, I'm not the right person to talk to about that. I'm just looking at reference images and going from what I know about the manufacturer to do the best I can at recreating what they would build. So what I'm doing is I'm basing this transfer mainly off of the one of Invader, which is one of the newer GCIs. So this one and Mystic Timbers are definitely the 2 reference coasters that I'm basing a lot of this off of. So you'll notice that there's a lot of fades and cuts because, you know, I'll build something, delete it, or maybe I'm pausing for a little bit to look at my reference image. Because I noticed there's a lot of times in this time-lapse footage that I've paused to take a look at like the screenshots and some YouTube videos of Invader and behind-the-scenes tours, stuff like that. So also, it's hard to see, but there's a set of friction brakes there. Those are ThemeMaker's Toolkit items. They are, I think, Aero. I think it's just called Aero Brake. I'm going to make sure to link it in the description, and if I forget, please feel free to kick me in the butt or something, because the brake is really good. The only complaint I would have about the brake is the lighting and the shading on it. It doesn't really, you can see it doesn't quite take the light very well. So, which, to be fair, I think I also might have my flashlight on. Actually, no, I don't have the flashlight on. Okay, so that's the only thing that would need to be changed with that particular model. But that aside, it's still a great piece. It's not that big of a file size, which even if it is, and you're only using 2 of them, it's not going to impact your game in the slightest. So yeah, I'll make sure to link it in the description. I'm also going to make sure to link these beams in the description if I remember. It's I think the guy's name is Corkscrew Loop. He has these beams on, he or she, whoever this is. They have their, the beams on their page, on the workshop page. So I'm primarily using these beams for any of the structural work like this, or the kind of the station building, and I think I'm even using it for the maintenance building. I'm not quite sure. You'll see in the next video that I had started the maintenance building. I just need to remember to place the links in the description. As well as, hey, shout out to Bronation. I'll make sure to link that Discord server in the description. It's a great little Discord server. We're all very friendly. We all give, you know, really good feedback on everyone's builds, both in Planet Coaster and Planet Zoo. Oh, that was a cut. Okay, so I jump cut it over to adding quote wheels. And then another jump cut where I'd copied the track over, and now I'm working on trying to figure out how to make the running rail that these wheels slide on, because there's a rail beneath the wheels that it slides back and forth on. But anyway, back to the niche, the bro niche. Yeah, it's a great little Discord server. There's never really anyone in voice chat, but if you hang around for a bit, someone will hop in. Everyone's always busy with their life, as well as, you know, building stuff in Planet Coaster or Planet Zoo, and it's a great community for both of those things, so I really suggest you join. I'm going to link it in the description, and yeah, come and have a chat. Good old Mike Sheets is there. He goes by N7, especially N7. And then, you know, Mass Bandit, John's on there. Even Silverette is on there, and Delay Designer. A lot of these people are on the niche, so feel free to join, and we're a really nice, positive community. Okay, so back what's here on the screen. You can see here I'm working on the foundations for the floor of the actual maintenance building. But I had to do that, even though it's actually for the building itself. I had to include it in this video because it's the basis of how big the sliding table is. I could have probably built this without building the floor first, but you know, it just makes more sense to me to build the floor before actually finishing the table, because the whole table is its own building and the floor is its own building, and then the building structure will be its own building. So that's how I like to build, so that way I'm not accidentally selecting and deleting stuff that I don't want to delete. Because you know how that is. Like, before we had this option to make buildings, we had to place a building grid piece down and then build off of that. It was so crazy. Like, in one of my other files, I had a little corner of the park where I had all my concrete pillars that were attached to separate buildings, because that's how we had to do it back then. So here on now, I'm going to place an archer, because usually beneath a GCI transfer track there's a maintenance area, and a lot of B&Ms have this too. So the only struggle is trying to figure out where to put it. So you'll see later in the end of the video, I'm going to have some real-time footage showing the changes that I made, because from the end of all this time-lapse footage to the beginning of what I have for the next video, there was a major change. And I'll show you what's going on with all of that. So here I am going to finish off the table, make sure it works. And again, all of these structures I'm basing off of what they would really build. So since there's track that goes beneath it, and I explain it in my real-time footage, you know, I'll make sure to explain it, but you'll see that I had to make some changes because that track is there. And again, had to lower this, and it's all just a test to make sure. And then voila. Whoop, had to go change all my terrain again. Yeah, none of this terrain is final. The concrete there is final though, except for the round concrete that you see. That gets changed too. Okay, now, so these wood beams are from Hydro, I think. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but I'll make sure to link this in the description too. It's a set of building lumber, like structural lumber. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but it's the kind of lumber that you would use for framing a house, making sure the buildings are framed. But it makes a great hardwood floor, so that's what I'm doing here. I'm placing these planks as hardwood floor beams. I'm also going to use the same beams for the catwalks on the coaster itself, and as well as like a lot of the framing for the maintenance building, and probably downstairs in the station. Like these planks are really versatile. They're really thin. You can stack them to make them thicker. Like you can do a whole bunch with them. The thing is here though is making sure this is realistic as possible. So ideally you would want to have holes in the floor for these support beams to go through. So there you go. Also, beneath the whole sliding transfer track, it's all open. Except for the structural beams that hold it all up, so there won't be any wood beams or wood flooring beneath the transfer sliding table. The only exception is on the other side where maintenance won't need to get done. But now you can kind of see, and I'll talk about it later, why I had to make the changes that I did. One thing I forgot to do was add these running beams across the bottom. Even though you're not going to see it, it's just one little detail that I want to make sure that I include, that these running beams get added beneath the hardwood floors. And next, I think I'm going to work on the running beams on the sliding track so maintenance can walk around. And I think I fixed it off camera, but if you can tell, the beams are not perfectly straight with the track I have there. So I do end up fixing it. It is going to bother me. It's bothering my OCD just watching this, but I'm glad I fixed it after the fact, because I noticed that my wood was going into my metal and I couldn't figure out why, and I'm like, oh, because it's not aligned properly, because something apparently wasn't aligned at all correctly. So I had to go in and change a bunch of stuff off camera to make sure it was all aligned properly. I tried to cut out all the times that I paused my footage, or paused the camera, like movements, but I don't think I got all of it out. So you might see occasionally I'll pause for a second or two to look at my reference image on my other monitor that I have. I needed to add a little extra beam on the side for another plank of wood. And now I think in a second I'm going to start working on the wooden wall that separates the running track from the storage tracks. Because when you're on a GCI, there's a wooden wall between the two, and you can't really see the storage track that well. Which, that's the whole point, to just hide it. My nose is super stopped up, and I don't know why. Wow, that's professional. Okay, so here I am. I'm starting work on the wall that separates the track from the storage. So it's I'm basing this wall. I'm basing entirely off of Invader, and I still need to add like some conduit boxes to the back of it and some wiring. I totally forgot to do that, which I guess I'll do all of that for the final part of this building. You know, adding all the wires and conduit boxes, making sure everything looks realistic, making sure all the hookups look realistic. And also, this wall is too tall, I need to shorten it. But then if I'm going to lower it over pre-existing pieces, raise it up, and then delete those pieces, raise it back down. I don't quite remember how many hours of time-lapse footage this was, because there's a lot of times where I would stop recording and then continue recording, and you'll see that a lot in my next video with the actual building itself. There's a lot of times where I stopped recording entirely, so I actually think I need to go back in the game and build some more, because I don't think I ever finished what I was working on for the next video, so this might be the last Gambit video for a while, until I can record more footage. Oh, and let me think. Let me find the comment. So, where is it at? Emax Magnus commented on the previous, I think it was the previous video, about some supports over there that I'm going to try to fix and make it look better. I have some plans for that, definitely. So don't you worry about that. It's the beneath the turn out of the station, there's a flat section of track. There's some supports that go all the way down to the ground, and it doesn't really look right. I think I've got an idea of how I'm going to fix it. I'm not sure if I'm going to actually do a full-on bridge or not, but we'll see. We'll see. So, yeah, this is what I've. This is the whole, floor and transfer track complete, without, of course, wiring and stuff. But that's not really too important. So you're not really going to see it when you're riding the coaster anyway. The sliding table itself is on the workshop. I might add the floor. The floor is not on the workshop yet. I may go in and add it. I may not. I don't know. But at least the sliding table is on the workshop, on my workshop. I'll make sure to link it in the description, as well as all the other pieces that I've used in this video. So let's go ahead and get out of this and into some real-time footage. So see you in a hot second. Alright, so after that, you can see I've made a few changes. I realized that Theoretically, with the transfer storage areas being here, maintenance would need to be able to walk around beneath it. But since I had them on this side previously, and that there's track beneath here, having a floor here would definitely break the clearance envelope for the train to pass by. So I decided to go ahead and rotate it around and move it to this side. Makes more sense, and I mean, it's still the same thing. With GCI, you can have them placed it on either side. Basically this whole area is kind of custom made to the park's desires. So, nothing too serious. And then, if I get rid of the floor here, you can see that I also got rid of the curved walls that were here and here, and made the change to just make this a simple foundation. And you'll see in the next video, I'll start work on the actual building that this is all housed in. So yeah, that's about it. See you in the next one.